This is News Fighters, where we fight the news so you don't have to.
Hello, welcome to News Fighters for today, Monday, March 4th, 2019. I'm your host, Dylan Bain. Big weekend in Australian politics, featuring more departures than Heathrow Airport on a long weekend Friday.
Christopher Pyne and Steve Ciobo have both confirmed they'll quit politics at the election.
7 News can confirm another 2 high-profile government frontbenchers will quit at the next election, sending fresh shockwaves through the Liberal Party.
Yes, and it's also been sending fresh shockwaves through the media who are struggling to come up with metaphors that don't involve ships.
2 ministers for defence stepping out to jump ship.
More of his MPs might be about to jump ship.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison is desperately trying to steady the ship.
The mass resignations look like a mad rush to the lifeboats.
Labor says the ministers are fleeing for the lifeboats.
This is clearly a case of rats abandoning a sinking ship.
This looks a lot like rats jumping from a sinking ship.
Rats fleeing sinking ships, ministers heading for lifeboats. Or in the case of Paige Taylor on Sky News, rats heading for their own lifeboats.
The PM can't do anything to stop the appearance of rats leaving a sinking ship, but he's trying to ensure the bridge is properly manned and lifeboats completely crewed.
I don't know what cruises Paige Taylor goes on, but they must be pretty fancy if the rats have their own crewed lifeboats. Anyways, Deborah Knight at 9 News couldn't be bothered with ship metaphors, instead going for this lame attempt.
The government has run out of puff and is running out of time.
So many are fleeing that even the Coalition circle jerk that is Sky News thinks it's starting to look bad.
This does just feed into a narrative of a government that looks like it's on the way out.
And I think with him, he doesn't want to be on the losing team.
Look, it does tend to give the impression that the government's falling apart, that it's not even going to make it to the line.
Yes, so even when Caleb Bond, Mark Kenny and Troy Bramston over at Sky News think the Coalition believes it's the
losing team,
the writing must be on the wall. Right, ScoMo?
Is it a reflection, though, that those inside your own party don't think you can win?
No.
Okay, well, never mind, that settled that then. Meanwhile, over at his retirement press conference, Christopher Pyne delivered an enthusiastic and confident pronouncement of certain coalition victory.
Whether we win the election in May or whether we lose the election in May, I would have been making exactly the same decision. I believe we will win the election in May.
Ah, such confidence. If you couldn't tell how much Christopher Pyne was over politics, he compared his career to being in jail.
Being in politics is not a life sentence, and I've been there for 26 years.
26 years? That's nothing. That's like 1/6 of the possible jail sentence for the tax office whistleblower, or as ScoMo put it.
I mean, Christopher Pyne has spent more time in this place than he's been on the planet.
Yes, somehow Christopher Pyne arrived on Earth from his home planet after he arrived in Parliament House. He must have teleported in like Captain Spock. Anyways, watch now as ScoMo attempts to humanise himself by comparing the length of Christopher Pyne's career to a modern pop culture reference.
I mean, 26 years is a long time. I mean, H.G. and Roy used to have that great saying, too much is never enough. Well, I don't think Christopher Pyne would even agree with that.
ScoMo continued by trying to talk up Christopher Pyne's longevity.
I understand he's one of the longest serving, if not the longest serving South Australian member of the House of Representatives ever. And I'm sure Christopher can give you a long list of all the other milestones that he's reached.
And of course, he had the long list ready to go.
I'm very fortunate. I've been a defence minister, a defence industry minister, an education minister, an industry minister, an ageing minister.
Geez, Christopher, just because your hair's gone a little bit grey doesn't make you look like that much of an ageing minister. Anyways, he went on to continue outlining his achievements with his trademark humility.
I've been fortunate to rise to being number 5 in the government.
Wow, number 5 in the government, you say? If you ask me, it sounds like Christopher Pyne is having a case of the Buzz Aldrins.
And Buzz Aldrin, the second man on the moon.
Second comes right after first.
Yes, Pyne went out of his way to mention how good it would have been if he'd become PM, especially for himself.
Being leader of the party, that would have been a tremendous thing to do for the party and for the country, also for myself.
Yes, such a selfless public servant. But then he started to get reflective.
I'm not leaving with regret or bitterness. I'm not being forced out of office in some hideous scandal. So I'm...
Yes, the knowing laugh there of someone who just remembered a scandal that could have brought him down.
So I'm...
He also tried to deliver a parting swipe at trolls on social media.
There's a lot of crazy people on Twitter and Facebook saying a lot of bizarre things, and the really terrifying aspect of that Anthony Albanese and I have often laughed about is those people have been out in the community forever. It's just that we've never seen them before, and now they're actually on social media with a voice. which is kind of frightening when you think about it.
Yeah, don't you hate it when the community and everyday people get a voice? Isn't that the worst? Only Christopher Pyne would be frightened of the very thought of hearing from actual members of the public. But Pyne does have social media figured out now.
So I don't pay any attention to people on social media whatsoever. I love Instagram, and I do that myself, and if somebody attacks me on Instagram, I've learnt that you can block them, and I very happily block them. I've long ago given up on Twitter and Facebook. My staff do that.
I guess they had to increase security after what happened in 2017.
A homosexual pornographic video was accessed and liked by Christopher Pyne's official Twitter account early this morning. Hours later, Mr Pyne used Twitter to say he'd been hacked, tweeting, "I was asleep at 2 a.m. Someone tried to hack my social media yesterday."
Also, blocking someone speaking is what the Liberal Party wishes it could do right now to Julie Bishop.
Senior Liberal Julie Bishop has hit out at colleagues in a powerful interview as she exits politics. Bishop says she would have beaten Bill Shorten had she been given the top job back in August.
Yes, with Pyne and Ciobo departing, talk immediately turned to the Liberal Party needing more women in their parliamentary ranks. And Steven Ciobo made it clear he's in favour of being replaced by a woman.
Obviously, I'd love for it to be a woman.
And now, what about you, Christopher Pyne?
Would you like to see a woman replace you?
Well, the criteria for who should replace me in Sturt is very simple. First of all, they have to be a person who knows how to campaign and knows how to win the seat. Second, they have to be an effective representative of the eastern and northeastern suburbs. That means it has to be somebody from the area who knows the area well and has known the area well for a long time, not some blow-in from outside the electorate. And the criteria is overlaid with the fact that it has to be based entirely on merit.
A simple no, I want to be replaced by a man would have been sufficient. So these departures give PM ScoMo a chance for a reshuffle refresh.
The 7th reshuffle of the Morrison-Turnbull government was for just one minister. Linda Reynolds is the Defence Industry Minister few saw coming.
Yes, so on the weekend that Liberal power broker Alex Hawke publicly stated that maybe the Libs do need female quotas, surely their newest female minister would be in favour of quotas too.
I think what the message is clearly saying is to every woman in the Liberal Party today, and every woman that will get elected, is that you don't need to be a quota. If you're good enough, you can get in.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. Anyway, ScoMo went on to wave his feminist flag for appointing a whole 7 women to his 30-member cabinet.
Already my government had the equal highest number of women in cabinet, along with the Rudd government, with 6 women in cabinet, and also that was true in the Turnbull government. This now makes our cabinet the strongest level of female representation in the history of federation.
Yeah, except for that time that Rudd's second ministry had 9 female ministers in it. Now let's cross over to ScoMo's media advisor, training him to say that last statistic.
Just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
Now back to the dearly departed, and what does the future hold for Christopher Pyne?
He's off to start his own business.
But I intend to go into the business world and see where that takes me.
And remember, he even hinted at what that business could be.
I love Instagram.
Yeah, look out, Khloe Kardashian. Christopher Pyne is going to be an Instagram influencer. Yes, as Christopher Pyne leaves the coalition government, I bet his parting message is the same acronym he once said to Albo.
See you with the new leader next week.
See you next Tuesday.
Meanwhile, the search is already on for Christopher Pyne's replacement, and I think over at Channel 7 Sunrise, they've found it.
Rosemary Norwood and her husband Sean have become the ultimate gardening gurus after growing a cabbage the size of a human.
That's it for Newsfighters for today, Monday, March 4th, 2019. Thanks for listening. Remember to subscribe on your podcasting app. Drop us a line via email, podcast@newsfighters.com. Follow us on Twitter @NewsFightersPod. I'm Dylan Bain. Keep fighting, and bye for now.
This is Newsfighters, where we fight the news so you don't have to.